from California, rapper A$AP Rocky declines a plea deal on the eve of the start of his trial. The rapper, whose real name is Rakim Mayers, is charged with 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. The deal would have sent him to jail for 180 days, but he now faces up to 24 years in prison if he's convicted by a jury.
In and of itself does not mean that your client is guilty. That's the way we're going to deal with this, and that's the final ruling. I don't want to hear anything more about it. That's the end of the issue for now. Are both sides ready?
So Rocky is on trial, and Robin is losing it. Word on the street is that poor Rihanna is out here looking all sad because her boyfriend / bad daddy SL hubby might miss the boys' birthdays for the next 20+ years. Guys, A$AP Rocky's trial officially started. And it's already looking like a circus, from the judge hitting on Rocky's mom to the witnesses dropping some bombshells in court, and Rocky's lawyers pulling some sick moves that have left the prosecution completely blindsided. There's more than enough drama already. But get this, the prosecution offered Rocky a plea deal where he would plead guilty to only 1 count of felony assault and have a suspended sentence, take anger management classes, and do some community service. But Rocky turned it down, and this decision has split the internet down the middle. Some are saying Rocky is a fool for turning down what they're calling a sweetheart deal. Others are saying the deal doesn't make a lick of sense because Rocky didn't even do what they're saying he did. And then there are the people comparing this whole trial with the Tory Lanez trial, saying, if Tory got 10 years, it's not looking good for Rocky. But are the odds really that stacked against Rocky? And what is Rihanna's role in all of this? Let's find out for those who aren't caught up. A$AP Rocky is on trial for allegedly opening fire on a friend, A$AP Rocky, who is actually a member of Rocky's A$AP crew. You would think this case would be pretty straightforward. Rocky did it. Rocky didn't do it. Case closed. But there are more twists and turns in this case than a 2-dime soap opera. For starters, folks on the internet have been going off about how there shouldn't even be a case to begin with. See, this whole thing started after A$AP Rocky and A$AP Rocky got into a fight because Rocky thought Rocky didn't pay for the funeral arrangements of one of their crew members who passed away. For context, before A$AP Rocky, because the A$AP Rocky we all know today, he was part of the A$AP mob, which is how he got the A$AP part of his name. The A$AP mob was formed in 2006 in Harlem, New York City. It was a bunch of rappers, record producers, music video directors, and fashion designers, and the way you could identify them was by how they put the A$AP prefix in their names. So you've got A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, A$AP 12, A$AP Rocky, and so on. Since Rocky is obviously the most famous and possibly the richest if the group, he sort of became the face of the group. And what this meant was that the other group members expected Rocky to step up and do certain things for his guys. So in 2021, when one of the group members passed away, it was expected that Rocky would cover some or all of the bills for the funeral. However, A$AP I thought Rocky had switched up on the gang and didn't pay for the funeral. I decided to confront Rocky, which resulted in a heated argument just 1 block from the iconic Hollywood Walk of Fame. At some point, Rocky pulled out a bang bang and pointed it in Ray's direction, and we know this because there's CCTV footage showing some part of the altercation. In the footage, we see Rocky and Rocky getting physical with each other. Someone jumps in to break them up, but then Rocky whips out his pew pew. But we also see Rocky tuck it back in. All sure for now, according to Rocky. The altercation didn't end there. Rocky pulled out the pew pew again and allegedly opened fire at Rocky, resulting in Ray's knuckles getting grazed by one of the bullets. Rocky claimed that he eventually got medical attention when he flew back to LA. But here's the crazy thing. According to reports, Rocky didn't go to the cops until days after the incident. So it's like if you get shot at and hit it makes sense that the first thing you'll do is get help and then call the cops. But waiting a few days to do both seems very sus. And Rocky's team is capitalizing on this as proof that Rocky didn't do what he's being accused of. The best footage we have of the incident is grainy at best and doesn't capture the whole thing. So basically, the only thing the prosecution and defense can rely on is witness testimonies. And so far, the prosecution's star witness ASAPRI is not doing a good job of convincing anyone that Rocky hit him. In fact, Rocky's fans online are convinced that REI is not just a jealous friend, but that he's also a snitch. The fact that there was an altercation between him and his fellow ASAP mob member, and instead of settling it low-key, he went and aired their business out there to the police. Yeah, fans are saying that's something only a rat would do. Rocky's lawyers are also basing part of their defense on that. In the opening statement, Rocky's lawyer Joe Tecapa said, "This case is about one man's jealousy, which lies in green. This case is all about money, a clear attempt at extortion, period, end of story." But that's not even top 5 messiest things that have happened in this case. As we mentioned earlier, the trial started on Friday the 24th of January, and the jury has already sparked major controversy online. The jury is made up of 7 women and 5 men, but not a single one of them is black. Fans online have raised doubts over this selection because, come on, both the accused and the alleged victim are black, plus the trial is taking place in Los Angeles. What do you mean there was no single black person who could be on the jury for a case with so much media coverage? Believe it or not, the Reverend Al Sharpton jumped into the conversation and expressed his concern about the jury selection. He said, "I have been closely in touch with ASAP Rocky's friends, and though I do not know the particulars of the trial, I do know he deserves to be judged fairly by his peers, as is his constitutional right. It is absolutely ridiculous that the jury will be not fair and representative, so as to deprive ASAP Rocky of a fair trial when we have 4 black people in the city of Los Angeles out of the 106 and exactly 0 within the first 30 possible candidates for the jury. Something appears to be very wrong with the system, but gets even weirder. The police investigation into the case is another source of controversy. When RI finally reported the incident, police went to the scene to investigate, but they didn't find any trace that a shooting had occurred there. There were no shell casings. But get this, REI then allegedly returned to the scene after a whole investigative team had searched it, and wouldn't you know it, I found shell casings there, which he then brought to the police as evidence. So the police, who are trained to look for things like this, went there and didn't find anything, but somehow ASAP mysteriously came up with shell casings and handed them to the police. Yeah, I really want to see what jury would buy that crappy story. But what really left fans scratching their heads was the fact that Rocky rejected a plea deal the prosecution offered him. Rocky is currently facing 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. If he's found guilty, he's facing up to 24 years in prison. So when the prosecutors offered him a plea deal, a lot of people thought he would take it. The plea offer involved Rocky pleading guilty to 1 count, a felony, a 6-month jail term, a 7-year suspended sentence, 3 years of probation, 500 hours of community service, and anger management classes. A lot of people felt like Rocky should have taken the deal, because compared to 24 years in prison, it's much better. Plus, he doesn't have to actually spend any time in jail provided he doesn't violate the terms of his probation or commit another crime. However, other fans believe Rocky was right not to take the deal. For one, if he says he's innocent, then he should get his day in court. But also fans are saying that the plea deal will effectively end Rocky's career. One source close to him told TMZ this would effectively end his career because he would lose all of his endorsement contracts, including Gucci, Puma, the Met Gala, and most important, he would not be able to tour, and his career would be over. The source added, they would have him under their thumb for over 8 years. Let's not forget that the plea deal would also make sure the 1 count of felony assault he pleads guilty to goes on his record, so it might be a good deal compared to 24 years. But if there's a chance that he gets to walk away from all this without any jail time or blemish on his record, then it makes sense for him to take his chances. And from the court proceedings, so far it looks like the odds are stacked in Rocky's favor. If you thought things were messy, prepare yourself for the biased plot twist in this case. Yet Rocky's defense team is claiming that there wasn't even any real firearm to begin with, that it was a prop gun. Rocky's lawyer Joe Takapa told the jury that Rocky did fire something, a starter gun that he had bought to scare off attackers after he was the victim of an earlier attack. And a stalker, according to Takapa, Rocky fired it twice, hoping the sound would be enough to scare off REI and protect Ills, another friend who was present during the altercation. However, the prosecutors fired back, saying Rocky fired a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. They even played a 911 call made by a woman who claimed she witnessed the incident, and they displayed the photo of the thing they believe Rocky fired. But it would turn out that the police raided Rocky's house shortly after his arrest, and they did find some firearms, but they were all registered. The 9mm semi was never found at Rocky's house either. So where did it come from? Well, according to the prosecution, the semi came from Rocky. They shocked Rocky and his lawyer by pulling up Ballistics report that apparently proved that Rocky fired a gun at REI. Rocky's legal team was not having it, and they argued that the defense blindsided them with the information, so there was no way the case could go on unless they figured it out. And here's where the judge dropped another shocker. Rockus has just 1 day to get an expert to review the ballistics report. The court will even pay for it. But Basic Al, the judge, is saying this bombshell is not going to slow down the trial. Now it's looking like Rocky should have taken that plea deal. After all, some fans are comparing this case to the Tory Lanez case because they're kind of similar. And Tory got 10 years. They're worried that Rocky might end up like Tory or worse. In December 2022, Tory was convicted of 3 felonies: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. This was after he allegedly shot rapper Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. At first, it seemed like the case was going in Tory's favor. He and his minions launched a smear campaign against Megan, and he played the whole God-fearing, devoted father angle. However, everything backfired, and he ended up getting sentenced to 10 years in prison. Obviously, the cases are different for many reasons. Firstly, Tory shot a famous woman. Rocky allegedly shot a less-known member of his crew. True, the evidence was stacked up against Tory, and the media was not fond of him after his smear campaign against Megan became obvious with Rocky. The evidence against him is shaky at best, and he's a good-look fashion boy, married to a superstar billionaire. Although he has had some run-ins with the law in the past, his PR team works overtime because Rocky is not really associated with violence or gangbanging or any of that. The media loves him. Even the judge is a fan. Sure, the judge tried to play the whole "you will not be treated differently because you're a celebrity" card, but he was also openly flirting with Rocky's mom. In court on the record.
Hey, Sab, you a little nervous about the trial? How you feeling about the jury selection today?
Our cameras caught ASAP Rocky this morning headed into and leaving an LA court as jury selection began in his felony trial. The 36-year-old, who faces 24 years in prison if convicted, has pleaded not guilty, and today he rejected a plea deal offer of 180 days in jail, saying, quote, "I respectfully decline."
You concerned about rejecting?
As for Rihanna, sources are saying she is not doing well with this trial, despite her and Rocky putting up a brave front. Riri has been feeling the pressure of this case since day one in 2022, when she was heavily pregnant. She and Rocky were ambushed at the airport in relation to this case. They had been returning from their vacation to Barbados when LA police stopped them at the airport and arrested Rocky. The whole thing was very stressful for Riri, and it definitely left a scar. According to sources close to them, Riri suffered anxiety attacks at that time, and she was afraid the stress might push her into early labor. Luckily, none of that happened. But having to go through the trial while working and taking care of the kids, honestly, anyone would be feeling the pressure. The judge has allowed cameras to be brought into the courtroom, so every moment of this messy case will be televised. In the meantime, share your thoughts about Rocky's trial in the comments. Also, do you think Rocky is being set up? Let us know down below, and then check out this next video.